And we continue at 2:06 in the afternoon. It's the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's across the glass.
Ben writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com on the fair plan not covering the cleaning of smoke-damaged homes. If you're claiming the inside of your home is covered in arsenic, there's only one solution.
Scrub it.
That's very good advice.
I can't wait for Baccaria's next interview. He is by far the dumbest person running for office.
So here's something interesting. Right after the show today, I'm going over to KTTV Fox 11, and I'm going to tape The Issue Is with Alex Michelson, and I'm going to be on with Gloria Allred, the civil rights attorney. And right before our segment starts, they're going to play that interview with Javier Baccaria, and apparently we're going to be asked to respond to it.
Yes!
But when you do the scrub,
I'm sure that'll go well. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Well, as we know, in the city and county of San Francisco, the Soros DA was dumped by voters. The machine Democrat mayor, London Breed, she was dumped by voters. And now there's a new sheriff in town, not just in the DA's office, but in the mayor's office. And one of the policies that he has in his crosshairs is harm reduction, basically giving drug paraphernalia to drug addicts, hoping that will improve their situation.
This has been something that's been going on in San Francisco for decades. It's been something that's been going on, I would say, in an even bigger fashion in Los Angeles County for the past 10 years, thanks to Barbara Ferrer.
Yeah.
And it is something that's incredibly destructive, because how exactly are you supposed to get these people off the devastating drugs when we're literally giving them the pipes and the foil and the spoons and the needles? Daniel Lurie, the new mayor of San Francisco, announced yesterday, we're not doing this anymore. We're not passing this stuff out in the parks. We're not passing this stuff out in the Tenderloin. If you really need this stuff, you got to go inside to talk to a counselor where we're going to refer you to treatment.
Good for him.
For more on the massive change in policy towards harm reduction in San Francisco, here's KPIX.
We begin tonight in San Francisco, where Mayor Daniel Lurie is shaking up one of the city's most controversial policies that some have blamed for encouraging drug use on city streets.
This is why elections matter. Even though I personally found London Breed to be very enjoyable,
if you are not here, FOMO.
She wouldn't do something like this. She was slow to make some changes that were pretty substantial, but when it came to stuff like this, she would stop short.
Of course, because she was all talk and no action.
And I would say one of the things about Daniel Lurie being a rich man who's outside the government, he's not beholden to anybody or any of the special interests or the activist groups that advocate for nonsense like this. So as soon as he takes over as mayor, what does he do? Orders the SFPD to go to the Tenderloin and arrest as many drug addicts and drug dealers as possible. Then go over to Market and do the same thing. And we're starting to see an actual difference there.
It's the only way to clean up that city.
We're talking about handing out clean supplies like needles and foil so that drug users won't seek out more unsafe materials elsewhere.
I'd love to talk to the public health nuts that advocate for this. So what do they need the foil for? What do you use it for, Bobs?
Well, when they're doing the drugs, they need something to put their sandwich in so they can go back and eat it later.
No, that's not it.
Oh, really?
You have to put the meth on the foil, and then you get to heat it up in the pipe. Maybe Ferrer can do a demonstration next time she's passing it out in front of Skid Row.
Yeah.
It's part of a broader effort to scale back a strategy known as harm reduction. Well, some experts say harm reduction was a driving force behind a nearly 22% drop in overdose deaths in San Francisco.
Nope.
Harm reduction doesn't help the situation. It may kill them faster, but it doesn't help.
Last year, 633 people died from unintentional overdoses. It's a lot of people, but it was actually the fewest in the city since 2019. But Mayor Lurie and others say the harm reduction strategy only enables addicts. So now he's attaching some strings to those programs. And our John Ramos explains.
This is what's so fascinating about covering politics in California. This is a very common sense viewpoint. And this is like a radical idea for California cities.
Sure, because everyone in public health believes that harm reduction is the way to go. I think I told you, when I graduated with my master's degree, everyone in the graduate school had to go up and accept their degree with their department. I was one of 2 master's degrees in political science. And yeah, just a handful in math, a handful in history, a handful in English, those sorts of things. They get to public health, and they went on for what seemed like an hour. I don't know what percentage of the overall students or the overall degrees awarded at that particular school were in public health, but it had to be something totally insane. And all of these people, or not all of them, but many of them, buy into this BS.
Well, it's a very lucrative career to be in.
Yeah.
Barbara Ferrer in Los Angeles County makes $650,000 a year to do things like send government money to homeless healthcare Los Angeles to pass out the meth pipes on Skid Row. And I will say another thing about Daniel Lurie. One of the first things he did was appoint a new public health director to that city that doesn't believe this nonsense.
It's the only way to change things.
For decades, San Francisco has been plagued by the problem of drug addiction, and they've taken a fairly empathetic attitude toward drug users. But now the mayor says the city's had enough. It's time to make a change.
It is no longer anything goes San Francisco.
You look at video and pictures of that city in the 1990s before all of this mess started, and it was clean. It was hopping. The malls were packed with people. People weren't looking over their shoulders. There weren't encampments everywhere. There weren't illegally things that are items that were stolen illegally and being sold on the street. You didn't see that going on. It was like night and day. There's no reason why San Francisco can't look like that again.
Of all the crises faced by the city of San Francisco, the most deadly has been fentanyl. On average, 2 people die every day from overdose. And on this...
In L.A. County, it's now 7.
7 per day?
Yeah.
And on this day, the mayor and public health director took aim at the people who hand out drug use supplies in the name of harm reduction.
The days of handing out supplies without any connection to treatment or to case management, those days are over.
You know, I love to make fun of him for sounding like a robot, but I'm going to stop because I love what he's doing here.
Oh, yeah. They need an AI robot to clean that mess up.
We have to make a change, and this is the first step in that.
Distribution of foil, pipes, and straws for safer use supplies.
Wait, what's the straw for?
I like the fact that that's the one time they'll allow people to use a plastic straw.
I don't even understand what the straw is for.
We will no longer allow that in public spaces, meaning...
By the way, how does the contracting process go for this when you're procuring the materials, when you're making a large order with government money to buy a whole bunch of meth pipes?
I wonder if anyone in accounts receivable lifted an eyebrow at that buy.
We will no longer allow that in public spaces, meaning not on the street, not in parks, not on sidewalks.
And, of course, that's the exact opposite of what's going on in Los Angeles County, where Barbara Ferrer's needle exchange and harm reduction programs in the city of Santa Monica have destroyed the city of Santa Monica, which used to be one of the nicest, albeit annoying, but one of the nicest cities in the county.
And the park specifically.
Handing out clean pipes and other drug paraphernalia is meant to prevent accidental overdose or infection from the sharing of contaminated materials. But the mayor is telling the nonprofits who take city funding to stop.
Stop that. We're cutting off your funding.
Could you imagine Karen Bass doing that?
No, she's in bed with these people. And now, because of all of the blowback that she's gotten for the fires, she's constantly siding up to the DSA that believes all this nonsense. That's why Karen Bass was at MacArthur Park with Ulysses talking about all the harm reduction programs that are going to clean up that park.
Yeah, none of that's going to change in L.A. until she's gone.
And he has an ally with experience in drug addiction, Supervisor Matt Dorsey.
Most of the people out there who are struggling with addictions don't want to be there. It's just a question of when is going to be the moment that they hit bottom and make the real difficult decision.
Dorsey is a recovering addict himself, and he believes that the harm reduction effort is being driven by activists with a political agenda.
What I have seen too often in recent years is people are giving drug paraphernalia and saying, good luck. Go use your drugs more safely.
You know, it's funny because he's 100% correct, Dorsey is, when he says that it's political. It is ideology that's driving this, which is funny because it's coming from the public health community who always claims that they're following the science, when in fact we know that is not true, not just in this case, but in many cases. They're not following the science. They're going against the science, and they're going with their extreme ideology, and they're literally killing people.
Well, don't forget, these are the same people that decided in November of 2020, we need to shut down outdoor dining.
Oh, yeah. Let's shut down the beaches because that's how COVID spreads.
And we don't want to say that you shouldn't even use drugs because some people view that as stigmatizing.
The new orders would require the distribution of any drug supplies to be in an indoor setting by a trained counselor who would then recommend and try to connect the user with a treatment program.
You go in, say, can I have a needle? They say, how about some rehab? They say, can I have a needle? They say, how about some rehab? They say, can I have a needle? They say, how about some rehab?
Well, I'll tell you who else is part of this problem, and that's Gavin Newsom. Because Gavin Newsom fundamentally does not believe in clean and sober.
We have played the clip so many times, and I keep forgetting to put it on the hot bar, and I really should. But I'm sure everyone at some point has heard this clip of Gavin Newsom for his response to the homelessness crisis. And I think he was in San Francisco when he said this.
Clean and sober is one of the biggest damn mistakes this country's ever made. I know it's a hold-your-hand idealistic point of view that somehow magically, I mean, God bless some of you. If you're like me, I've been known to have a glass of wine at night watching some of the nightly news. We all need to self-medicate periodically.
That's the governor, and the rest of them take his lead.
You know, he's gotten to a point where he names his wine glass Jesse Waters.
But Laura Guzman with the National Harm Reduction Coalition.
Oh, boy, here we go. It's time for the other side of the story. And by the way, these are more nonprofits. They get a whole bunch of funding. And if you speak out of turn and say that this is nonsense, well, that's their bottom line.
Oh, yeah. It would be one thing if they were just nuts who were wrong. It's another thing if they're nuts who are wrong who are also profiting from death.
But Laura Guzman with the National Harm Reduction Coalition says there isn't enough treatment available for people who may want it right now.
Is mandating or putting as a condition for people to receive life-saving supplies.
Like meth pipes?
And the foil?
To actually have long conversations about treatment that may not be available. People who know in the field, researchers, doctors are saying this is not good policy.
I don't know. The new public health director is an actual doctor, and he says it's good policy.
Yeah. When she is referring to doctors, in many cases, when you're talking about public health, they're talking about people with PhDs in social welfare or public health. They're not talking about medical doctors.
No, thank you. We're actually going against the grain because what we're trying to do is to, have the perception that there is no drug use on the streets. But it's not public health. It's not science-based. It's exactly the opposite of what we know works.
It doesn't work, though. This has been practiced for 20 years in San Francisco, and look at what has happened.
No, but what they do is they hide behind the fact that they have the degrees. They have the credentials. So, of course, they know what's best for the rest of us. When, in fact, I can't think of any aspect of life that's been wrong more often than public health.
The city feels that the harm reduction effort is simply enabling people to continue their addiction. And Dorsey says he only got help after people cared enough to present him with some hard truths about himself.
Thank God that happened. If somebody had offered me a hotel room and a little money and go use your drugs, I might have taken that deal. And had I done that, I might not be alive today.
And that's a thing that's been going on for a very long time. San Francisco has a lot of single-room occupancy units that they put the homeless in. And because of Housing First policies where they don't make sure that you're not doing drugs in there, they usually carry you out in a body bag.
Yep.
There is a clear shift in the city's feeling about drug use. Compassion without consequences hasn't worked so well, and they're willing to begin trying something different.
The new policy goes into effect on April 30th and applies to all city-funded programs.
There you go. There's the latest out of San Francisco, changing decades-old policies of harm reduction.
So here's our question to you right now at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. We know that many of you in the audience are in recovery. Many of you have dealt with drug addiction, alcohol addiction at various points in your life. Many of you have had spouses who have struggled with that. Many of you have children or close friends where you've had a front row seat to someone dealing with this crippling issue. Our question to you right now at 800-222-5222 is this. If you were the addict and at your low point, if the government stepped in and gave you a hotel room and all the drug paraphernalia you could ask for, would that have helped you? If it's not you, if it's your spouse, if it's your kid, if it's your neighbor, if it's your friend, whatever, and you went through this process with them, at their low point, if they were to be given a motel room and all the drug paraphernalia they wanted, would that have helped them? I do not believe that is true. I've never gone through AA. I've never gone through recovery, so I'm not speaking from personal experience. I just know what I've seen around me, and these people need help. They need treatment. They need to get off the drugs, and if you give them more drugs, you're eventually going to kill them. What say you? At 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, with the end of the show quickly approaching, if you want to continue listening to us after we sign off at 3, that's easy to do.
Just search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes. You're either listening to us make fun of Gavin Newsom's podcast, or you're going to listen to Gavin Newsom's actual podcast.
And coming up next week, we're going on the road to Long Beach.
How exciting is this? We're celebrating the 20th anniversary of Gladstone's Long Beach and the 50th anniversary of the Long Beach Grand Prix. Join us on Friday, April 11th from noon to 3 for Fan Free Friday. We'll be broadcasting live from the beautiful patio right on the Rainbow Harbor in Long Beach. It's gorgeous out there. The view is amazing, and so's the food. Gladstone's Long Beach is a great location for date night, a delicious get-together with friends, a sunset cocktail, family meals, and celebrations. Gladstone's Long Beach, located directly across from the Pike Shopping Center. Make a reservation and join us next Friday.
Harm reduction is over in San Francisco. What say you? Let's go to Shelley in Redwood City. Shelley, hello.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi. Am I supposed to be talking now?
You should.
Okay. I've never called into a radio show before, and actually it's kind of surprised I got through. So I guess I have a comment about putting somebody in a hotel for free with drugs. I would be dead by now if somebody did that. I'm a recovered cocaine addict, and I'm 68 years old. I haven't done it for a long time, but absolutely the stupidest thing I've ever heard. That's my opinion.
Thank you for the call. I appreciate that. And Randy, that is a refrain that we hear over and over and over again from people who lived it.
If you are in recovery, the idea of the crap that goes on in Skid Row or was going on till now in the Tenderloin is so insulting and so scary because they're not helping anybody.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. The new mayor of San Francisco says harm reduction is on its way out in the city by the bay. What say you? Let's go to Patrick in Covina. Patrick, hello.
Hey, good afternoon, John.
Hi there.
Yeah, it's just state-sponsored murder. Giving people syringes and straws and foil, and in a place to do that, to your little heart's content. It's despicable. It's the most evil thing I've heard of in a long time. And I'm glad that San Francisco finally realized that it wasn't the achieving the desired result. People dying is not the desired result.
It almost makes you think that they're trying to kill him.
Right. Wrong.
Thank you for the call. Let's go to Michael in Orange County. Michael, hello.
Hey, how you doing today? I love you guys' show. My question is, what happened to the state laws that prohibit the possession of drug paraphernalia. It's against the law in the state of California to be in possession of drug paraphernalia. That's a crime to be in possession of a crack pipe. So why aren't these people being charged with possession of drug paraphernalia, taken to jail, and those that are giving them charged with accessory?
That's a very good
understand.
question.
Just like the prostitutes that they complain about on Figueroa. If a woman walks down the Figueroa, used to be, if a woman walks down a known prostitution track and the cops pull her over and they find a condom in her purse, she can be charged with prostitution just for the possession of a condom. So I don't understand, what are these people doing?
Well, if you find a prostitute with a condom in her purse, she may say, I'm just coming home from the library.
She can say that, but she can also be arrested for prostitution, and she would have to sort that out in court with the DA. Now, the DA may throw the charge out. It's just like in South Central. The sheriff department plays a game called Felony Game, and what they do is they try to see on Friday night who can make the most felony arrests. They don't care if the arrest sticks. They just want the felony arrest on their record. It's just like in the movie Training, Jay, how Denzel Washington bragged about having over 17,000 or 1,700 felony convictions and over 10,000 or whatever felony arrests. The felony arrest goes on their record as a gold star. But it doesn't matter if the charge sticks or if it's some crap, if it's a fake charge or they just gave somebody a charge just to arrest them. So I don't understand why are they just throwing out California law and giving people drug paraphernalia. That's a crime. To possess drug paraphernalia in the state of California is a crime.
Well, they have certainly demonstrated that they believe that they're above the law, and I don't think it's any different with this. Thank you for the call. Let's go to James in Murrieta. James, hello.
What's happening, guys?
Hey
nice
there.
To hear from you guys. My whole thing on this is it's kind of like they're trying to do a purge. It's just ridiculous. I'm a recovering meth addict. When I was younger, I didn't figure it out till I did hit rock bottom. Living behind a trash can, it's just ridiculous that they think handing somebody the paraphernalia to go, it's going to make them clean. It's just stupid. I think it's a purge. Look at the Democrats, what they've done in the past with this whole COVID thing. It seems like they're just pushing to eliminate people instead of helping people.
Thank you for the call, sir. Let's go to Reed in Los Angeles. Reed, hello.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for the call. I'm an alcoholic and ex-drug addict as well. I've been to 9 different rehabs. I'm 59 years old. The younger generation, they don't mind being homeless. They kind of actually like it because they don't have any bills to deal with. So this progressive left that thinks that, I don't know whether, I think it has to be some kind of a financial scam. They're kind of like drug dealers. I'm sure wherever they get these drugs, they probably pad it and they make money on it. So we all know that from a logical point of view, giving a drug addict more drugs, he's not going to stop. You put a monkey in a cage with cocaine and food, he's going to keep tapping into that coke. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we know this at this point. There's a reason why people like drugs, and giving them more of it is not the answer. If you give them more of it, they're just going to do more drugs. Look what happened with marijuana. The moment we legalize marijuana, you smell it everywhere. Now, I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying before marijuana was legalized, you didn't smell it on every inch of the state. Now, it doesn't matter where you go. That's all you smell. You legalize it, you get more of it. You give them more drugs, you end up with more drug addiction. I don't think it's that hard.
It's a no-brainer. Myself, like the last gentleman, you have to hit rock bottom. But in this day and age, the younger generation, for the most part, I mean, being in 9 rehabs, working in recovery, being a chef and feeding all of them, and engaging in a daily basis with these addicts that they don't mind being homeless. They just don't, and that's sad when you've gotten to that point. But giving people more drugs is not the answer. I don't know what it's going to take, but for some reason with the particular party, they will vote that way no matter what. It doesn't matter how badly the results will be or the condition that we're in, just as long as they show loyalty to their particular party. But we are falling off a cliff. So I hope what needs to happen is the people that are making these decisions, they need a family member to be addicted to this and watch the decline and watch the ambition go out the window, the damage, the loss of control, the no morals, the lying. It only gets worse. It's a progressive disease. If you have it, it's not going anywhere. It needs to be arrested, and we get a daily reprieve contingent upon our spiritual maintenance. I don't know if you get it or not, but that's true. So the alcoholics or addicts that are out there that are listening, you know that what you have needs to be addressed, and it's not going anywhere. So that's not the answer, and let's hope that we could do the right thing moving forward. Thank you so much for letting me share, John.
Well, thank you so much for the call, and I'm so happy to hear that you're happy and healthy. Thank you. Let's go to Chris in Alameda. Chris, hello.
Hi, how you doing? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Yeah. The last caller said exactly it. You know, if they gave it that to me when I was using, I'd be dead. I mean, I would have liked it at the time. It's like, yeah, great, a place to do dope and all the paraphernalia to, you know, all the apparatus. But I'd be dead. I mean, the last caller said it perfectly. So I'll go with that. Okay. Have a good day.
All right. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Ben in Beverly Hills. Ben, hello.
I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and I have many of my friends who didn't even make it to the 80s. You want to hear some of the drugs? STP, Benny's Goofballs, Benzedrine, yes, mescaline, and then we have LSD or acid. Top that off with marijuana, and how about marijuana dipped in opium? Call it Thai stick. I've seen how it affects people, and I've never seen people beat it without some tough love from the people around them and a structure, not just to get them off something. You have to have something to get on, whether it's life skills, job skills, something to make people more independent and more self-caring. I don't believe in coming down hard on people. That breaks people. That makes them permanently dysfunctional and homeless. So I don't believe on stomping on people's rights or treating them like dirt. I think that's one of the reasons we've got so many broken people. But when you talk, I lived in both San Francisco and Los Angeles, and when you talk to people, both leaders and voters, about how the anything goes method fails every time if there isn't personal accountability, responsibility, consequences, and you can't talk to them. And you think about it, nobody in San Francisco would have probably predicted the current change. They just pushed this give away the needles, give away everything to facilitate their death. The previous caller was talking about a purge. Well, I talked to Curran Price's office before he was indicted, and they'd never even talked to an expert on homelessness. No experts on housing. Separate problem, but we're seeing incompetence by our government in both issues. So I think we need to start talking about what is wrong with us as voters. We keep electing people who are essentially thieves, idiots, incompetents, nincompoops. Yeah, I'm talking about our mayor. Yeah, I am talking about our mayor.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. Let's go to Chuck in Sunland. Chuck, hello.
Hey, hello, John. Hey, listen, I just wanted to say, I really think that these people are peeling money off these policies like an artichoke. So I bet like only 50% of this money is actually going to buy this paraphernalia for these people. But when they supply the paraphernalia for the people, they're indirectly supporting the drug dealer and crime, because the person's up in the motel room and he's got his paraphernalia, and now he's got to get his product. So he goes out and he burglarizes or he steals or whatever he has to do to get his product. He says he pays that money to the dealer. So the state is supporting the dealer and crime.
That's a very good point. And they're prolonging the agony. They're prolonging the misery for everyone involved, for the person who gets robbed, for the person whose neighborhood goes to hell because there's an open drug trade going on, for the person who's using and potentially overdosing, for their family members and social network who worry about them. I don't see who benefits from this other than the public health community.
Absolutely, John. And the other thing is, there's no reason for a government to have a policy, such a nonsensical policy, unless somebody's getting something out of it. And that's why I mentioned the peeling off other parts of the money, like an artichoke, because you know that this whatever they're spending is not going to these people. But it's just like it's like a circle thing. It's so nonsensical, but you don't be nonsensical unless you're getting something from it. Otherwise, there's no reason to do it.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. Harm reduction is on its way out in the city and county of San Francisco. What say you? At 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Nicholas writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com and says, I did meth from 16 to 19 really bad between 17 and 19. Went to jail a few times, got kicked out, had to move in with my uncle in Arizona. That got me away from the gangs and the drugs I was around in L.A. And if I had been given a hotel room and all that other crap, I would have died in my early 20s or been in jail for life. I'm 39 now, been clean off that stuff since about 20 years old because I wasn't given an option not to be. That's the right thing to do. Good for you, dude.
For sure. And by the way, if they put you up in that hotel and give you all that drug paraphernalia, think about this. What good are Hilton honors points if you're dead? Can't redeem them.
I don't even think you can transfer them to somebody.
I don't think so. You're not going to Fiji if you're dead.
Can't take that diamond status with you.
No. Can't get those 2 complimentary bottles of water or the cookie at the DoubleTree. Not happening. Harm reduction is over in San Francisco. What say you? At 800-222-5222. Let's begin with John in La Crescenta. John, hello.
Oh, hello there, guys. I'm so glad you're talking about this. I lived downtown L.A. for about 16 years, and we used to have these meetings with the residents and with business owners and the homeless. And these were always heavily attended by the American Civil Liberties Union lawyers. So there was a bunch of those guys. So this guy gets up and he says, I'm going to open up a cafe for the homeless that has state-of-the-art computers. I'm going to serve panini sandwiches. These are going to be state-of-the-art sandwiches. And I'm going to offer state-of-the-art coffees they're going to have. And everybody's cheering for him. And this guy gets up and he says, I've been homeless for 15 years. And now I run a homeless shelter down here. So for the last 8 years. And I can tell you what you're proposing is wrong, because what you need to feel that homelessness is not normal. And the more you normalize it, you're going to get more of it. And everybody freaked out at that. And all these lawyers jumped up and they yelled at the homeless guy that's running the shelter, if you're part of the problem, you're part of the problem. They start screaming at the guy. So it's just that thinking is just so ridiculous. And then the funny last point of this is the guy that opened up that cafe that had all the computers and the state-of-the-art sandwiches and everything, he closed within 6 months. And I saw a thing in the paper where he said all that happened was guys would come in, eat the sandwiches, drink the coffee, and masturbate to porn.
Oh, my.
Yeah, you don't want to see that when you're eating your breakfast.
Not at all. So you guys are on the right track. This move is on the right track. And yeah, the more we normalize any of this bad behavior, you're just going to get more of it. Think if they would have listened to that 20 years ago.
Well, the same thing is true at Starbucks. Remember back, I think it was in Pennsylvania, when 2 guys were there. They weren't buying coffee, and they were essentially sitting at Starbucks all day long. and Starbucks kicked them out, and they said it was racism. And then Starbucks, this was during the whole BLM thing, said as a corporate policy, we're not going to kick people out who are not paying customers. Well, fine. Starbucks all over the nation turned into a homeless shelter where the bathrooms got destroyed overnight. People would harass you and ask for money as you're sitting there trying to drink your coffee and read the newspaper, and it made it unusable. And now at my Starbucks, they don't have that policy anymore, but they don't even have furniture for you to sit in. They don't have plugs for you to plug your laptop in. They don't want you to spend time in their locations. They want you to buy your coffee and they want you to leave because the homeless ruin that too. Thank you for the call, sir.